Hello, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be taking a look at the Coast Pocket Toolbox. Now this tool is a unique tool. It sort of reminds me of the Gerber Lite. We won't go into a huge history, but I think it shares several design cues. Also, you may have seen a tool like this, which is called the Byberry, but there's many different names that share the same design. So there are different versions even on Amazon of a tool similar to this, but it does not have the same tool set and it may not be made quite as well. Some of them seem even a cheaper tool than this, even though this is a little cheap. So I think on the used market, sometimes you can find these for around $10 to $15. This is going to be the Coast Pocket Toolbox. And what's going to make this unique is that the tools do lock, sort of, and that you have slip joint pliers. So I think that's pretty unique in a tiny little pocket toolbox. So compared to the Gerber armbar, it's going to be basically roughly around the same size. So let's bring in the Leatherman Squirt, and it's a lot larger, almost twice the size of the Squirt. So on the top, we're going to have a 1/4 inch, and then we're going to have 5/16, and then we're going to have 3/8 and 1/2 inch. You will have a ruler, but it's going to be fairly hard to read because of the black right here. But if you get real good lighting, you can read it. And so it will go all the way up to, it looks like just over 5 inches and up to 15, probably centimeters or millimeters. And then on that side, you can see it says Coast Pocket Toolbox. We have the keychain attachment, and that's pretty much everything on the outside. Now, this is going to have a unique tool set in the sense that it's going to have a very long Phillips driver. Now, this almost reminds me of like the Leatherman 300 or the rebar, that very long Phillips. I really like that. And it's going to have a long, very long, just regular edge screwdriver as well that has a file on it. Then we have a bottle opener and a smaller screwdriver. And then we have this Wenger Victorinox style slip joint pliers. So I sort of like this on a multi-tool. If you're not going to have any pliers, it's sort of nice to have something like this. The problem is there's no spring. So you end up, and I'm going to close this knife, but there's no spring. So it is going to be a little bit harder. You sort of, I mean, not to complain too much, it's not that hard, but we've just, I guess some of us have gotten soft and used to tool sets with pliers that are a little bit easier to use. So what I like about this is also that it does lock in these notches. So this is for the top, folds down, locks in place. And then you can go ahead, let's actually take the Phillips and put that all the way out here. And then it locks it in place as well. Now, unfortunately, this groove is not machined exactly, and so you do get some up and down motion, some wobble, unfortunately. Now, obviously, when the tools are closed, it's not really that big a deal, but yeah, it's not a perfect tool. I mean, it's around $15 new, so it's not a very expensively made tool, and it's just riveted, it looks like, together. All right, so again, we have the screwdriver, the Phillips, we have the slip joint pliers, and we have the knife. Now, a lot of people have mentioned that this knife is extremely sharp, so that's what a lot of people have found. Let's go ahead. I'll go ahead and just see how sharp it is. And so, yeah, I mean, it cuts through paper pretty good. So yeah, it seems like it's one of the sharper knives I've tested actually, so that's fairly impressive. But again, I imagine that this steel is not made very well, so it's probably going to dull fairly quickly. That's sort of the bad news. So let's go ahead and look at the packaging it came with. Again, we have the pocket toolbox, we have the slip joint pliers, locking tools, the wrenches. Then on the back again, it talks about the knife blade, slip joint pliers, the Phillips, and then the wrenches, the ruler, and the key ring. Now it does say it has lifetime guarantee. Some of you who have the Coast flashlights can let me know how that guarantee works. I've never dealt with Coast. I've never owned one of their flashlights. I think this may be the first product I've actually bought from them, but a bunch of the guys at work actually do use Coast flashlights. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this tool. Is it relevant? I have seen versions similar to this with a 4mm bit driver, which I think could make it more useful. Again, the original Gerber light was a very interesting take and probably the inspiration with a flashlight. And even in the lid, you could store some extra micro tools. So let me know what you think. If you've used it, if it's been useful for you, I'd be interested to know. And I always like hearing multi-tool stories.